I am Sam Anderson. I am a technical marketing manager at Epic Games. I've been here for about 3 years, but prior to Epic, I was at Shop Architects in New York, and I worked there for about 5 years and used a lot of these other tools that we've showcased today. So it's kind of fun to see where they're at, Prospect and Inkscape. And I love what Nathan said also, that kind of each one has their own use case within the design workflow and process. So I think that's very valid, especially with Twinmotion, some of the stuff I'll be showing today. So it's been very cool to kind of see all the different visualization opportunities out there. And, hopefully that allows architects to be able to better communicate with their clients or stakeholders. So I'll go ahead and dive in here a little bit. It may be a little confusing. I work at Epic Games, but I'm showcasing Twinmotion. I'll also reference Unreal Engine. So to kind of give a little bit of background about that. So Epic is the kind of larger ecosystem, the larger umbrella for all of this. If you have kids, or maybe even you play yourself, you're probably familiar with Fortnite and Rocket League. And so that's the kind of publishing side of Epic Games. We also have a tools side where we enable creators to actually create that content. So a lot of those games are created in Unreal Engine. And one of the things that's created inside of or using Unreal Engine is Twinmotion. So Twinmotion is going to be the easy visualization tool for many creators to be able to visualize their content and BIM models. Now, within that, there's other tools as well that kind of tie in to assist with those. So we have Quixel and ArtStation and Sketchfab so that people can go access different assets and different models quite easily. So this is another graphic just kind of showing how it all works. So Unreal Engine really is the backbone of it, and then all of these tools kind of plug into it. And so that is including Twinmotion. So what is Twinmotion? It is a visualization tool. That's what we're all here for. And so I wanted to show some graphics here of some of the visualization techniques. One thing I love is that Twinmotion is built on Unreal Engine, meaning that we are able to take advantage of some of the graphics and the quality that comes out of Unreal Engine inside of Twinmotion. So many of these are rendered using the path tracer, which is a rendering technique inside of Twinmotion that's going to allow you to have better reflections, refractions, ambient occlusion. So you can see like where the car tire hits the ground there. It's rendering out quite nicely. Now, where does this fit into BIM? So a lot of the BIM models and data that you're creating and designing in, you're going to be able to bring that inside of Twinmotion. Now, it's not just a closed box there. Once you bring your data in, you're then able to take stuff into Unreal Engine if you wanted to. So in my experience, I have been able to create visualizations in Twinmotion very easily. You can use virtual reality with it. You may not need to take it into Unreal Engine, but perhaps you want to build out a digital twin with sensors in an office space. You could have the model that you created inside of Twinmotion for the design process, and then take that into Unreal Engine for post-occupancy to better understand how the building is being used. And so I did want to bring up, I know I came here last year to talk a little bit about VR for Twinmotion. And since then, we have partnered with Autodesk. So that means that for anyone that has a Revit subscription, you now have access to Twinmotion. So depending on time here, I do have a Revit model up that I can demo exactly what that means, but I know this is very exciting for us and for Revit users, so we're happy to see this go live. Now, if you are still kind of like, what is Twinmotion? How do you use it? I'm going to run through some different slides here of like what it means to use it, how do you build it up, and what are the use cases for it. So here you'll see that you have the ability to import different geometry. So you could direct link to your Revit model. You could import SketchUp models as well as Rhino models. So you could also use this as a place to kind of compile different models. We know that you may work with a landscape architect who uses a different system for developing their data and their models. So this allows you to bring in multiple things, and then you can also synchronize your models to your Revit model. Once you do that, you can build out your environment. So you'll see here that I'm building out these trees. And one very fun thing is that many of our assets are what we like to call smart assets, meaning that I can change the age and color of those trees quite easily with the slider here on the right-hand side. And I can do this for different foliage as well, but I'm just showing the trees here as a quick way to build out your context models. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we are a part of the larger Epic ecosystem. So we do have Quixel Mega Scans, which is a team within Epic that's going out and doing scans of real life environment as well as different assets. And then we're making that available to our users. And then we also have Sketchfab. So if you're the library of assets we have just aren't doing it and the Quixel isn't quite doing it, you are able to search on Sketchfab inside of Twinmotion and then go download any models there and bring them in. So it kind of opens up the world for all of our creators. Now, as I mentioned earlier as well about the different rendering techniques, so we have our real-time raster render that is kind of, as you're moving throughout the space, you could build things very, very easily, drop stuff in, be able to walk around in VR. But say you want to then do a high-end visualization from that, you can hit R on your keyboard or that little icon at the very top here to turn on the path tracer. Now, this is, yes, it does require your graphics card to be compatible. So that's going to be the DirectX 12 graphics card that's going to work well with this. And so you'll see kind of the difference in just the way that it reads global illumination and the shadows and some of the reflections as well. So when it's time to share your models, we have a couple of different options. So we do have the ability to connect to virtual reality. So this is one use case of that, but we also have a few different Twinmotion cloud opportunities. So this means that you could push it to the cloud for someone who does not have a headset or doesn't have a high spec computer, and then they'll be able to walk around the space. So there's two different modes there. We have the presentation mode and then the panorama set mode. So as I know we talked a little bit about earlier with Jason, that you may, don't want to bump into a wall, or you want to kind of have this preset views because you didn't design the back of house. That's going to allow you to do that. So have someone be able to jump from space to space. So I don't have that here, but it is an option for our users. And then this is just showcasing what you can do once you bring it into Unreal Engine. So you can take your model, take that into Unreal Engine. There you can build out different sequences. You could do something with AR if you wanted to. Pretty much Unreal, if you have something in your mind, it's going to tell you to do it. The difference between the two is there is a little bit of a larger learning curve for Unreal Engine. So Twinmotion really is for those creators who don't have a lot of time to develop and learn and develop the skills in Unreal Engine. We want to have an easier outlet for you. So I'll go ahead and encourage you to explore your own. So if you do have Revit, you are able to download it. You can download it a free trial and check it out yourself. So here we have a lake house demo. So if you go to File, Demo Scenes, we have this lake house demo that you can pull up. I find that I personally learn a lot from looking at demos and understanding how one sets it up. So I just wanted to point that to your attention in case you're interested in exploring and don't want to bring in one of your own projects.
No, I'd assume, I'm only asking because I'm guessing it will be asked. Does it take tokens?
I'm sorry, I don't even know. What do you for
and
tokens?
Maybe it probably doesn't.
Okay. Is this
so it's just free? You say it's a free trial, but I guess.
Yeah. So it's a free trial. Like we have an educational trial, a commercial trial, and then a free trial. So you could go. I can send a link here in a moment as well. Send a link to that so that anyone can go and download it and try it out. But if you are already using Revit, maybe I'll have a little bit of time here in a bit to showcase that. But if you're already using Revit, there's a plugin for it that you'll be able to see. So I'll run through this quickly, and then I can show exactly what that looks like and what that means.
I hate to ask price, but you say free, and I'm like, is it really free? Or when I press a button to import, is it gonna charge me in the back end or something?
Good question. No, so if you're, yeah, it's the commercial use. So for the commercial license, it's $4.99. And for if you're just using it to explore, then it is free. So it won't, there won't be a trick in there or anything. I will send the licensing link here, just so if you're like, what does that mean for commercial? Or like, what am I using it for?
Thank you.
Then you'll be able to get that. And like I said, if you're a Revit user, then you have access to it. So you may not need to go through the commercial lines if you're already a Revit user. So hopefully that cleared it up.
Apologies, and I'll make sure that I put the link. So no more talk about price.
All good. All good.
Sorry.
All good. And so, yeah, I'll go ahead and continue. I came here, I believe it was like a year ago. So I did some demo for Twinmotion. So I just wanted to kind of talk about our most recent updates. And then if we have time, I'll move on. So the user interface may look different from the last time I came. It's a little bit more cohesive with the rest of the Epic ecosystem, including Unreal Engine. So you may have noticed that if you're a user. We also have some new templates. So you'll see we have some product visualization templates here, but that could also be great for furniture if you're working with any furniture or want to help visualize something. The day and night skies is great for architects. It already has a bunch of scenes set up, ready to go. So I encourage you to check it out. And then we also have some path tracer enhancements, so you can get some fog in there, some improvements to the water as well. And then we have a glass improvement that's going to allow you to have that color going through the global environment, so that you really have an understanding of what the space feels like if you're using colored glass. So I know that can be very important if you're speccing out a glass that has a certain, I guess, feature or I guess I know I worked on one project where it was like 5 layers of glass, so it was a little bit green. So we wanted to make sure that we understood that people could understand what that feels like in the space. And then we also have some new materials. So for any of our interior designers out there, under the Product Viz materials, we have a ton of different materials for you. And then just yesterday, a new Twinmotion came out that has a composition grid in it as well. So I'll try to show that here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to jump into my Revit project that I have open. So I have Revit open up here. I went into a view and created a 3D view here. And this one I'm working in is 2023.1, but it's also available in 2024 if you're already on that. But you'll see in this view tab, I have the Twinmotion button here. I can click this and we have the option to have export to a datasmith file. So this is if you are working with a team that is your visualization team, you could export it as a datasmith file and they'll be able to import it into Unreal Engine or Twinmotion. But I'm actually just going to go ahead and select open in Twinmotion. So we'll let it do its work here. The time that takes is dependent on how big your project is. So if it takes a little bit of time, this one's a small one. I just wanted to give you a heads up. So here I have a new project. I have a couple of different options here for importing. I'm going to keep everything as is and hit OK here. And it's going to pop up in my scene. So here it is linking to the Revit model. And then I could come in here and I could start to edit some of the materials. So if I wanted to come into, let's do a paneled material here, so I can increase the scale. So for anyone who's never used Twinmotion before, this is the user interface. So the left-hand side is really going to be our library of all of the different assets. You can search up here if you wanted to find something in particular. So if I were to type in stone, go back to my materials here, you'll see that we have many different materials that you can pull from. So I'll go ahead and drag and drop that in. If I wanted something a little bit more specific, I could type in slate, and then I can drag, let's do one of these roofs here, and I can start to build this out. So this is what you're going to get with the direct link. If I go into this import button here down at the bottom, this tab at the bottom is kind of the workflow that you use. So import materials, populate, create media, and then export. But the cool thing is once I have my Revit model in here, I can always go in and refresh it or synchronize with my Twinmotion model. And then I can also, if I move something inside of Twinmotion and want to reset it back, I have some of those options here. So I could spend time really developing this out, but I know that this is a short presentation. So I do have some resources that I have up on my screen, but I'll share them in the mural. So I'm going to go into the mural and I'll stop my screen share and share the resources and see if there's any questions. I know this was a very quick, here's Twinmotion. So
no, it's been great. It's been absolutely wonderful. I love to see the aging of the trees. That was crazy. I can only imagine like what we could do in terms of like patinas and all kinds of things in terms of like where that could go with even materiality.
It's super helpful. So that's, for like the trees and stuff, even if we're changing different seasons, then it will change the color of the trees. So it can be quite fun, even if you've never used it and want to spend one lunch playing around with it. I do think it's quite fun.
That's fantastic.
Great. You already put the license.
I did. I was super quick.
Amazing. I love it.
Back here. It looks like there's only one question. It looks like your presentation is super clear. Looks like somebody's worked with Twinmotion, and on a large scale project in an aerial view, it looks like they were getting some distance range limitations with shadows and other things, in particular with the newer versions, they're saying. So I don't know whether you know about any of that. I'm sure we could.
Yeah, let me do another screen share. That's
Please.
A great question.
We have about 5 minutes. So
okay, great. So I'm gonna just do a screen share, and I'm gonna just troubleshoot this right now and with you. And
look at you, a live troubleshooter. Bold, Sam.
We'll see.
Love that.
So I just dropped in a light here. One thing for any Twinmotion user as a tip, so we have these shadows enabled here, and you'll see there's this little S here. If your file is running very, very slowly and you have like a light in here for every single recess light, and you have that enabled, that actually might slow it down. So I did just want to point that out, that is something that could be affecting your file. So I guess it would be good to kind of understand, you must be using the real-time raster mode. So let me first just look quickly here in the preferences to see, I know we have some, so for instance, for some, we have a quality control, so that like grass, you only see it a certain amount away, and then as you move closer to it, it appears. So I don't think we have anything for lighting here, but I just wanted to check with the most recent update. So no, I'm not seeing anything here. If you message me on LinkedIn, I can try to help figure out to see what the issue might be. Making sure that this attenuation right here, so this is the circle, the sphere is how far that light will go. So as I move it bigger, it's going to increase the size. Just with depending on if it's an aerial view and there's a lot of information in there, it might just be hitting the limitations of the computer graphics itself. So there's only so much information that can be stored as far as light maps go. So it might be reading the information as you get closer. So feel free to message me on LinkedIn if we want to dive into that a little bit further.
Well, that was really fantastic, and it's amazing to see, all of the new advancements, just the simple graphics of, like we were saying, with the trees. Another question, it looks like somebody was asking if you could move objects in Twinmotion. Particularly, they were trying to move like a tree once it's been imported in.
Yeah, so if you have for instance, you have a chair inside of your Revit project that you're direct linking into Twinmotion. You can move that in Twinmotion. It's not bidirectional, so it's not like it's going to replace your chair or move your chair inside of Revit. But if I moved my chair in Twinmotion and wanted to go back to the original position that it is in Revit, then I'm able to reset that inside of Twinmotion, which was that little option I hit whenever I was in the import page. So we see a lot of people use low poly elements inside of Revit or their BIM model of choice. And then once they bring it into Twinmotion, there's an option to replace your object. So you could select all of them and replace them with a little bit higher fidelity chairs.